Want to know something that's weird as fuck? Sending messages to people that you want to speak to and they don't reply, like ever, and you know they'll never reply. And then looking back on those messages and remember, and what the fuck? And remember, and remembering where you were at the time of sending those messages, it's just so funny. And then for me, um, I end up doing that a lot. Where, so like as humans, we naturally pick and choose who we want to talk to and who we don't, right? Sometimes you feel like there's just no point in talking to certain people anymore. Other times you feel like you'll be a bother to talk to them. They don't really want to talk to you, but they're going to reply out of politeness. But you realize that if you keep trying to talk to them, they just stop replying because they don't really want to talk to you on a constant basis. Understandable. Um, and then other people, you want to talk to them, but they just don't respond or they don't want to talk to you. And that's understandable. And even if it isn't, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter at all. The universe is going to keep going. Eventually, we're all going to die. Or we don't die, and some humans are going to choose to be immortal. Other humans are going to choose not to be immortal. And the ones that choose to be immortal, you're all going to know each other on like a somewhat personal basis. But eventually, even all of you are going to drift apart. And there could even just it could evolve to where there's sections of you that kind of all stay in contact, and then there could be certain people within those groups that stay in contact with other people from other groups to where you're technically all connected in a giant web of a civilization, but you're all scattered. You know, like if you have group one that has 5 people, you have group two that has 5 people, and you have group three that has 5 people. But there's one person from group one that talks to a person from group two, and there's two different people that are not the person that's speaking to group one. There's two other people from group two that talk to 2 people from group three, right? And there's one person from group, or there's one person from group three that talks to someone from group one. That's not the first person that I mentioned. So it's a giant connected web. You know what I mean? Um, I love my brain a lot. Well, no, let me correct that. I enjoy the parts I enjoy, and I very much dislike the parts that I dislike. And really, what that means is I don't like the remembrance of the negative feelings and negative memories. But they have to stay because if those go, then I lose who I am. For all I know, you probably lose the lessons that you remember from those times too. You know? I mean, maybe not. Maybe you stay the person you are today because technically every moment is a new you. So maybe you stay the person you are in this moment. You just lose access to the information that those memories provide. Which means you're kind of just, let's say you remove all the negative emotions that aren't like too central to your person. You're kind of just all the good parts and you lose all the negative, but what if the negative or the bad informs the good of the good? That's kind of redundant. I kind of just said the same thing in like 2 or 3 different ways. That was redundant. But it's fun talking to Casper. It's really fucking fun. Um I kind of mean that in a literal way, but I kind of don't. And it's kind of just coping with people not responding. And it's also understandable because a lot of people have ADHD and are autistic, which means that sometimes it's very difficult for us to respond to people. For me, not so much because I really enjoy talking to people, but it's also to a fault to where I will just go back and forth with someone until they stop responding because I want to keep talking, but you can't do that as a person, especially as an adult. You can't really do that. People just don't have time, or they don't really want to talk to you for that long. They kind of just want to have like a brief back and forth of nothing really, and then that's it. But then I don't know. I have to remind myself that texting should really be, you send a message, they respond like 10 minutes or an hour later, and then they respond. And it's the same thing back and forth, but you're not supposed to do it constantly. I don't know. There's not really rules to this. I don't, and I think that's the confusing part for me because there are no hard set rules for any of this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I just do things. Now you do learn what you cannot do and what you're not supposed to do at all because of how it negatively affects people. So those are rules that you kind of impose on yourself. Those technically count as rules, right? But everything else is just a no. There are no rules for it. And it's a weird feeling having all these people in your head that you want to talk to, but you know you can't because they don't talk to you. It even gets to the point to where you go through third parties to get in contact with the people that you want to talk to, but then they just, somewhere along the chain, you just don't end up talking to them for various reasons. And then it makes you think of everyone that's now involved in that exchange, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what happened? But you can't really ask anyone because that just makes things worse, because at the end of the day, no one ever tells you anything. It's like if you want to talk to person 3, but you've tried that and it didn't work. Ghost. So you talk to person 2 and person 1, and they talk to person 3, or supposedly talk to person 3, which, benefit of the doubt, you assume they do, right? You know what? It doesn't matter. You gotta let it go. But you know yourself, you can't. Even the people from years and years and years ago, you can't let go. All the little fuck ups, all of the missed futures, the friends you fucked up relationships with. Every single one of them. Even the people you didn't even know. People that you talked to in passing. The people you sat down and talked to for maybe like 10 minutes because there was no one else around to talk to you. But you didn't want to be alone in your own head. So you talked to a random person there in your head. Everyone you've ever met that had some kind of impact. They're all just floating around. But you know you'll never be able to talk to them again. And at the end of the day, that's selfish. Because you're only thinking of yourself. You're only thinking of, well, you want to talk to them, or I want to talk to them. but they don't want to talk to you, you know? So ultimately, you're just being selfish. You're not thinking that they don't want to talk to you. Obviously, they don't respond. Duh. People don't respond, they don't want to talk to you. If they want to talk to you, they will respond. You know? Now, granted, there are outliers because there are times where people do want to respond, but it just takes them a long time because they get distracted, or they don't know what to say, or they just can't for various reasons. But a good chunk of the time, probably most of the time, people just don't respond. Like, for example, Isabel, you know? Granted, I was a little child, at least in my opinion I was. Because I was just being a sappy little loser, whining. Effectively my way of crying out for someone to respond. Typical desperation shit, you know? And it just gives people, for lack of better words, the ick. Gives some really icky vibes around you. You don't seem mature, you don't seem like a proper person, you don't seem like an adult. You seem like a child that can't handle life. That's an understandable perspective, you know. And ultimately, no one can see your brain, no one can see your life, so you can't expect them to understand your, like, even if you don't expect them to understand your life, they can never understand you. Like, none of us can truly understand each other because none of us are living each other's lives. Unless you can go through someone's memories, go through their brain, their memories, like every single moment of their life and what they thought in those moments, you will never truly be able to understand someone. They can explain it to you, but you also have no idea if they're telling the truth or not. You know? Because your brain has all of the memories. All of them. Every single memory you have. And even then, I'm pretty sure it stores the original memory. And every time you try to re-remember it, it just pushes it further and further back, making it harder for you to remember it, meaning you only get bits and pieces. But it's still there. It's still there. And then it's weird when these people that don't respond. It's weird when you have to see these people a good few times a year. There's nothing wrong with it, but in your mind, all you're thinking about is the time when person 3 didn't respond. And you're wondering what's wrong with you. What did you do or not do that caused the reaction of not wanting to talk? You know? And ultimately, you can't tell other people, you can't tell other humans what's actually on your mind because it always weirds people out. You have to pick and choose the very specific things you tell people. You have to choose wisely on what you tell people and how you tell them. It causes you to not want to really put in effort to make the connections and even maintain them, because you know it's ultimately pointless. Because they don't really care. You barely care half the time. I'm glad I make these. I get these thoughts out. And the best part is the more I make, the least likely any one of you are going to watch all of them. I realized earlier that I'm at like 140 something videos. I mean, the further and further and further I go, the least likely it is for just one of you to watch all of them. And it's cool. But puts less pressure on me. I don't have to think about you judging me as harshly. You know? Because ultimately we all judge each other. It's just, do we allow those judgments to affect how we treat the person? And even then we do. It's just, is the treatment, or does the treatment result in negative or positive consequences? Actions or inactions, you know? But that's it. Yeah. I'm gonna keep working on this game and not really finishing it, but finishing it and pretty much making the bare the bare version of it, and then advertising it on Twitter, and then and Reddit as well. People on Reddit like games too, and that's it. Let's go from there. You know, I still think that the end game currency thing will be smart. That way people can support and have something to use later on when the game is able to be made better and better and better and better and better. You know. Pretty much when it gets to the 3D point, it can be as simple as having two painting podiums. In the picture that I mentioned earlier, I put like a painting podium, and that's where you go to enter the actual menu. And whenever you like, pretty much the menu from this game will be what that painting shows. Meaning, once the 3D area of the game, once the 3D version of the game is finished, and this game is in an actual 3D environment, you essentially go to your, or you are essentially at your 3D, or no, at your painting podium, and you effectively come out of it into your own mind, and then you talk to the soul warden, who then essentially allows you to manifest a soul. It allows you to create the shape of your soul, pretty much picking one of the 700 plus body sizes, basically. Well, technically a little less, because I don't want people to be able to pick kid sizes. Kid sizes are kind of like prologue, meaning like if there's a superhero game, the prologue is going to be like you going from your tragic event to then being picked up by the superhero and then trained, and then so on and so forth. And then the end of that is you leaving as a teenager or young adult out into the world and being your own hero, basically. But so a little less than like 700, maybe still 700 range, but I think probably less because of the children's eyes being cut out. So yeah, but the child models still need to be in there for like just where children would be placed. So yeah. But that's it. I don't like stopping recording these though. That doesn't make any sense. I don't like stopping the recording for these though. It feels like I go back to not being heard in a way, you know? Like as you record as I record these, yeah, no one's listening. Well, people are listening. That's hyperbolic. People are listening. It's just you can't see them. But as I'm recording these, I feel as though I'm talking to someone. But as soon as this goes off, I'm just stuck by myself again. That's okay. It's life. You know, you can't even really say you can't do anything about it because you can. It's just right now I can't. No money, fucked up car, and even if it was working, technically it's not mine. It is, but it's not supposed to be. Could have to give it back. It's okay though. That's life. It's the way life is. It's your fault. You fuck up your life and then you decide, oh, you're gonna make a game. Ooh, yay. Ooh. And then you take time and resources from other people because you want to be selfish. And you tell yourself, oh, it's okay. I can pay everyone back. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It'll work out. It's okay. Ultimately, that's all you are. You're just a selfish asshole. It's whatever.